Rahubat family, Rahubat Musa. Yeah, we had a little technical glitch, but we've overcome, and we're live and direct. So the chat is live, it's open, and we're waiting for people to join the live. We've overcome, and we're live. Okay, that's a little bit of feedback I just got rid of. So this is Wu-Sabat, Ask Us Anything on OSM Vision Live, Season 2, Episode 15. All right, I see people joining already. LA Storyteller, Rahul Bat. Born Shamir, Rahul Bat, peace. RBLDN, London, Ashok, Divine Love. From the Root Fams, peace family, Rahul Bat. Please let everyone know we're live. Send the link out, share it, tell the whole neighborhood we're live. Always some vision. Ask us anything. Hey, Rahul Bat, Miss Chief NZ, Rahul Bat. Arctic, Rahul Bat. Let's go, yep, let's get it. Looking forward to speaking to you all. Oliver Rose, Rahul Bat, greetings. Ricardo, Rahul Bat. Nick Tanobo, Rahul Bat. Keon Murray, Rahul Bat. Stanley Kelly, Rahul Bat. Simply V, Rahul Bat. Rahul Bat, everyone. Draco, Rahul Bat. Prophecy, Rahul Bat. Jason Mason, Rahul Bat. Yeah, we're getting more people joining now. Virgin Island, Rahul Bat. Drace, Rahul Bat. Okay, so once again, we're live. Remember, you can do your bit, right? Do your bit. Help us to help you, help others. Share the rooms, like, subscribe to OSM Vision. Yeah, Bantuan, Rahul Bat. Sean Treasy, Rahul Bat, greetings. Draco again, and information on hearing voices guiding me. Okay, we're going to get to the questions, but remember, you can join the official Wu-Sabat Telegram group, okay? Just hit the link in the chat, and, the conversation carries on after the live, we do that every day. So yeah, you can join that Telegram group, hit the like. If you don't know what Telegram is, it will take you to the app and you can download it. It takes a few seconds on your phone, and then, you're live. You're live connected to us. You have many student teachers in the Telegram group. You know what? Like, we got to do more work though, for real, because we're trying to reach the world. We're trying to heal the world. We're trying to bring about world peace. We're trying to rebuild. So we need to reach a lot of people. It's estimated right now to be 8 billion people on the planet. Yeah, just over 8 billion people, and we've got a lot of people to reach. Obviously, we're not going to have everyone, but if we haven't even scratched the surface, if we're not reaching millions, because you're talking about billions, yeah? So, help us to do the work. Prophetess Ferguson, Rahul Bat from Virginia. Butimal Saliki, I think, if I'm pronouncing that properly, Rahul Bat. To me from South Africa, Rahul Bat. Rahul Bat, live and direct. What every Val Bay, Rahul Bat. We got a call already? Yeah. Wow, on the pulse. All right, let's get it. Let's get the first question in.
Just turn your one down.
Oh.
Yeah, you're echoing back.
Is it still echoing?
Yeah, we can hear it in the background, but I can hear you still. But if we could get rid of the echo, that would be great. Okay, yeah, what's your name and where you calling from? What's your question?
Yeah, my name's Femi. I've called once before.
Yeah.
So my question is, I've heard you guys mention about 2030, and I've heard that year mentioned twice, and I just wanted you to kind of elaborate on what's meant to be happening in 2030, and is there anything that can be done about it? Like, what are we meant to be doing?
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no problem.
Cool.
All right. So, what are we meant to be doing? What we're meant to be doing is Wu-Sabat, spreading Wu-Sabat and getting more people to wake up to the reality of the fact that you know what, it's actually really simple. You have two states, right? You have the truth and you have lies. And some people are living a lie, but they don't know they're living a lie, because for the last 6,000 years, there's been a lot of misinformation and misconceptions. And so people don't necessarily intentionally want to live a lie, but like from the time they were born, if say their parents were living a lie in the sense of not knowing who they are, where they came from, what they should be doing, what's the best things to do in your life, then you've been misguided. And for 6,000 years, because that was the dominion of people known as the Adamites, yeah, specific group that was basically made by way of graftation by extraterrestrial beings, specifically the Pleiadians. And so that whole thing meant that these Adamites were in rulership for 6,000 years, and they were given dominion over the planet. And this is why when people start getting introduced to finding out the answers, like, okay, who are we as in humanity? Where did we come from? How did we get here? And where are we going when we leave here? The mysteries of life and death. They will be more than likely be introduced to religion by way of their family, who their parents, for example, or maybe their grandparents. And this can go on for generations, where so your great 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 grandparents were following religion, and then your great grandparents followed religion, and your grandparents followed religion, then your parents followed religion, and now they're passing that on to you. But the thing is that because that time period has now come to an end, that's why when you get introduced to religion, you're told the first man was Adam and not Adamites, because they make it into a singular as opposed to plural, meaning that a group of beings that were grafted and were given 6,000 years to have dominion over the planet. So they say whatever Adam named everything, that's what it was. But the thing is, you're reading it in a mistranslation in one of the many versions in English, so you don't see that Adamites is more than one. You think it's just Adam and Eve, because it says, let us create man in our image and after our likeness. And then it says, God created male and female, created he them. Them is plural. So I'm saying that to go back to your question, to say that that 6,000 years ended in the year 2000. And now they're being, because it was only for a period of time, they were actually programmed with a lifespan, so that after 6,000 years, they will start to fade away and be removed, and they become extinct. So this is what's happening right now. And those extraterrestrials that were responsible for them, they were referred to as their overlords. And within the scriptures and the Bible and all these religious books, they're the ones that are being referred to as God and angels, etc., etc. And so we've reached a day and time where the truth must come out. Everything's about truth now. That's the frequency. That's when people are waking up from the slumber of sleep, or the spell of sleep known as Kingu or Leviathan, which operates on 6 ether forces. And so the adverse to 6 ether forces is 9 ether, and ether is abundant all over the cosmos. So now that those gases, those 9 ether conscious gases are coming back, people are waking up, people are becoming more spiritual. They're starting to get their latent powers back. They're starting to do things that they weren't able to do during the 6,000 moon cycle, which was governed by 6 ether forces. And one has to be sent to come along, because you have to start off with one being born, right? Or should we say one being anointed, and then that person will anoint others and then wake other people up, you know? So imagine you were on a craft and everybody was sleeping. Like when you travel intergalactically, because the journey is so long, sometimes you can be put up asleep, right, for the journey. And then let's say the first person that wakes up when you arrive, then they go around and waking everybody else up. So waking up took place, it was really officially, right, 1999, before the tick or the clock went to 2000. But before that, preparation was being made, right? So the master teacher, Partner Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Z. York, was that seeded entity that was to come and wake up people, renew the 24,000 year cycles, which ended with the last 6,000 years moon cycle, bring about this new, what people call new, but it's been the original from day one. It's just that during the last 6,000 years, many people got bamboozled and tricked and fell asleep on the religion and the people that were pushing religion. And so now, to answer your other part of the question, between now and 2030 is when they're being wiped off of the planet, and everything is changing. Everything is now about truth. Everything is about, but it's not going to happen overnight. Everything's about higher consciousness, higher vibrations. And this is where those beings on the planet that are resonating and vibrating on that frequency, that want the truth, that are like, you know what, I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of, the controls that make you feel like you don't have any power, like you're a slave, like you're just here. You're like, why am I here? What's my purpose? And people are waking up now. So that's why 2030 is important. But there are also many changes taking place naturally by the fact that everything is alive, the planet's alive, and the cosmos is alive. So these cycles and these changes happen all the time. It's just that if you weren't here when it took place, say, thousands of years ago, you won't realize it. But there are beings and our ancestors that have been here from the beginning, whatever you want to refer to the beginning as. So we're just witnessing it. We happen to be living in the day and time where this new 24,000 year cycle is starting again with what people call the golden age or the Aquarian age, So yeah, that's what's going on. And so yeah, what you're meant to do right now is wake up and start to know the difference between the truth and lies. Because remember, even in the biblical story, they told you that there was a time where the same people, Adam and Eve, were told not to eat the fruit of the tree in the garden of knowledge. And they were told that if they ate it, they were going to die. But when they encountered a being that they refer to as the serpent, he told them that, no, you're not going to die when you eat it. When you eat it, what's going to happen is your eyes are going to be open and you're going to know the truth, to know good from evil and be like God, right? Or Elohim, and be like these beings that are telling you not to have the fruit so your eyes are open. So that's what's the same thing's happening now, where we're saying, look, don't be afraid. Wake up from the spell, and once you eat this good news of Wu-Sabat, your eyes are going to be open. You're going to know good from evil. You're going to be able to start to use your power again. And now you have to apply Wu-Sabat in your life, which means you may have to adapt. The first thing is to accept it, and you could be skeptical. That's why do you think we call this Ask Us Anything? It's not just to ask questions. Is to ask questions because people are generally skeptical because they've been lied to for so many years, for thousands of years. And so when they come across the truth, it's kind of hard because they're like, everyone else has lied to us. How do we know you're not lying to us? And that's why Wu-Sabat works from inside you, from inside out, so you can experience it for yourself. And we say, don't believe us, go and check it out. Ask everybody else, put everyone else to the test. So the asking the questions is to get past your skepticism so that you can be like, you know what, I've checked it, I've verified it for myself. You know what, it actually makes sense compared to everything and anything else out there that I've ever come across. Now, so the questions lead you to the answers as they tell you in the matrix. So you have to ask questions that are specific to you, because it's your soul you're dealing with. That's the one thing that no one can take away from you unless you give it to someone voluntarily. So ask questions that your soul is yearning for. Make sure that you get to a point where you're like, you know what? And many people have tried. You know, Wu-Sabat has been out since 1962. And some people say, how comes I never heard about it? Because, well, you may not have been ready or not vibrating on the right frequency and resonance for it to find you. And so now that you are, boom, that's what we say, that it's about you having to, you know, you hear the saying, the master will appear when the student is ready, right? So you have to actually, we prayed, we cried, we begged, and we went to all the churches and all the mosques and followed everything, saying, please help us. We need to know the truth. We need help. And, you know, our ancestors listened, the overseers listened, and they were like, okay, we're going to send someone. You guys, it's time to wake up from that sleep. So they sent Pana Babyanun, Dr. Malachi Ziyok, and he came along, opened the seventh seal in 1970, and no matter what walk of life you come from, he's here. And you can relate to him because he's been spoken about throughout time, throughout all the scriptures, throughout all the cultures. Maybe referred to as different names, but he's here now. And so he opened the seventh seal in 1970 in preparation for this coming in of the sun cycle in the year 2000. And that was referred to as the first half hour, right? From 1970 AD to the year 2000 AD. And now, because he was allotted a specific amount of time, referred to as the man of the hour. That hour is symbolically referring to the 30 years from 1970 to the year 2000, which will be the first half hour. And then from the year 2000 to 2030, which is the second half hour. And altogether, that gives you that symbolic hour. So yes, between now and 2030, a lot of changes are taking place. People are waking up. Things that were hidden from you, the lies about extraterrestrials, about UFOs, about anything you can think about that was hidden, is now being exposed. And that was since the truth arrived in 1970. And that's why we can basically unmask, you know, all the information that wasn't available. It is available now. You're living in the information age. You know, we have, you know, you have the internet. But even then, right, the problem is it's saturated with all kinds of people, and because confusion is one of the reasons why people don't know where to turn or where to go, and they're scared for their heart to be broken and to be lied to again. You know, it's like if you've been in a relationship and it didn't work out, and you went to another one and it didn't work out, you've had several relationships and they didn't work out, you're going to be a bit more cautious with the next one, and you might start even thinking and judging the new relationship based on the old one. But you can't really do that. You have to have an open mind and, you know, just be aware though, and be, you know, like we say, we don't mind you being skeptical. That's why we say ask us anything and then check it out for yourself. You see, if you just listen to people and just accept without you doing your research or checking things out or confirming things for yourself, then what you're really doing is being a believer. You know, this is what religion does. It says, believe me, believe, just believe. You listen to a sermon, you listen to a khutbah, you listen to charismatic speakers giving good speeches, motivational speakers. They sweat and they do all of that, which is kind of like acting. It's like going to a concert. You feel good and you leave and you haven't really learned anything. Hey, Antoine Moore, thank you, welcome. So we're basically saying that the time has come, you got to face the truth. Because when the truth comes, all false things shall perish. And that means either you get with the program or you get left behind, you know. And some people, it might take them a few minutes and they just go, boom, I know it, I get it, that's correct, it resonates with me. Others, they may need a bit of time, you know, to ask questions, and then when you get to a point, the next thing is to the final part of your question, come into Wu-Sabat. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're coming from, it doesn't matter what skin suit you're wearing. If you want to know the truth and you want peace and you want harmony and you want a better world, then the next thing, doesn't matter whether you were previously a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, an atheist, whatever you were, you've got to come over now to Wu-Sabat and live the rest of your life and help others also to Wu-Sabat. But it's a choice, you know, it's your decision at the end of the day, because your soul is your responsibility. And yeah, so that's why 2030 is important. But even beyond 2030, and also obviously, yeah, that's the other point I wanted to make. You've got different people on the planet with different agendas. They may not know this information and they want to achieve certain things too. So technology is evolving. Many things are changing. So that they're going to try and implement whatever they want to implement during that time as well. And so there are many things going on simultaneously. However, Wu-Sabat is here and it's the future. All right, hope that helped you. So yeah, so basically, subscribe to OSM Vision, hit the like, share, and hit the bell so that you can be notified of any content that we're producing. All right, and then the next thing after that, start reading the scrolls. That's why we've put the fast track scroll together, to get you orientated straight away into knowing what's crap, what's real, and then move on to transforming yourself inside out by doing the work. All right, and then coming to the community. Okay, let's move on. Right, so obviously we've got a poll in the chat. Where are you watching from? We want to know where you're hailing from. Is it the USA, Africa, Asia, Europe? Wherever you are in the world, let us know, okay? Because we are reaching everywhere. Oh yeah, and remember, we just dropped a video, like literally like 20 something hours ago, probably just a day now. And that video, we want you to, I mean, last time I looked at it, it was over 40,000 views already in 21 hours or so. So that video is called Exposing Aliens. Let me see if I can find the right title. That's it, Exposing Aliens Amongst Us. So we just dropped that video on OSM Vision on YouTube, and already we have like over 40 something thousand views. So go and check that video out, because it ties into the previous questions when we're saying that these books of God being in heaven and Allah and Yahweh and Adonai and El Shaddai and the Anunnaki and the Pleiadians and all of that, right, is coming directly from these religious books, which come from the Anunnaki texts, the Enuma Elish, Gilgamesh epics, etc. So now, people that were in religion are coming to the reality that these gods are extraterrestrials. These angels are extraterrestrials. And even though they termed it aliens from many movies, we're dealing with extraterrestrials, right? Beings that are extra, outside, in addition to Terra, or the terrestrial plane, which is the earth, from the celestial plane, right? So if you're coming from outside the earth, you're an extra terrestrial to the terrain. And this planet at one point was also called Terra. So the term extraterrestrial is anything that's coming from outside the earth. So that could also be a meteorite, you know, it could be a craft, anything that's not from here. And even within the biblical and religious text, they tell you that Jesus came from heaven and went back to heaven, and God is in heaven. And many places throughout the book, they tell you God came down, you know, as in even the Genesis 11, you know. So the reality is extraterrestrials and what they term aliens. So we've done a video to tell you that there are different types of extraterrestrials. And we're going to do more videos on this because it is actually a very complex subject, because the reality is heaven, or up there, has many stars, many star systems, many constellations, many life forms in the cosmos. So yeah, that's the reality where we're growing into now, that we're able to start using more of our brain power. There are advances in technology. There are many findings now that prove these beings are extraterrestrials, and you saw the orbs and everything that's happening. You're going to see more and more of that. And we're very fortunate that we've got an extraterrestrial with us from day one. He said that. So he ain't jumping on, like, you know, every time there's a buzz, everyone jumps on it, right? This is the buzz that he came with. He was like, from day one, I'm an extraterrestrial from planet Risk in the galaxy Ilion. And everyone was like, ha ha. They thought it was a joke. But over time, he said, you lot might think the things I'm teaching you and saying are crazy, but in time, all eyes shall behold. So he started to teach us about where he comes from and the different types of extraterrestrials and where they come from, and the fact that they're the ones that are being spoken about in these biblical texts. He talked about Shambhala and Agatar, which is the subterranean world within the center of the earth, which was obviously confirmed with Admiral Burt going in there, do the research. He spoke about the Philadelphia experiment, which was dealing with teleportation and also trying to deal with invisibility by taking the USS Eldridge, which was a ship, right, making it go off radar and trying to transport it or teleport it from one place to the next. Of course, the experiment went wrong because at the time they didn't have all the equipment and the technology to be able to basically synchronize what is known as a zero time reference, which everyone has a unique stamp when they were conceived or, you know, came into being. So without knowing that and doing the calculations, because when you're dealing with teleportation, even though they show you it in like Star Trek, like science fiction, because they you know, remember Beam Me Up, Scotty or Spark and all that, they used to just beam them from one location to the next. Even though then it sounded like science fiction, it's something that extraterrestrials have been doing for a very long time. They're way advanced. And it's about breaking your molecular structure or anything, any physical thing, breaking it down in terms of its atoms and how it's held together, its matrix, and then transporting it to a coordinate and then different coordinates, and then basically reassembling. You see that on Star Trek, like as if it's just fiction, but the devil's very good at making evil fair seeming or making things that are science. Then he confuses it with adding fiction, because science is not fiction and fiction is not science. So how can you have science fiction together? You know, it's confusion. So, but anyway, I'm saying that to say that these extraterrestrials are very advanced, and now they're starting to emerge and show themselves. Initially, there were agreements with various governments to coexist, but stay, you know, stay anonymous or stay hidden and not interfere too much. And certain deals were striked, but some of the extraterrestrials defaulted and started to do things knowing that they have much more power and technology in terms of what they can do than the governments. They've started to violate that. So, you know, there have been many disagreements and stuff, and now they're actually becoming more and more intrusive. You know, they're showing themselves, and yeah. So let me look at the questions in the chat, but I hope that's answered that question, that first caller. Remember, you can call in if you would like to ask your question live, and you can use the WhatsApp and dial the number which I'm looking for, just to make sure I give you the right one. Well, my mod's going to post it in a minute if he hasn't done already. Yeah, you can dial that number on using your WhatsApp live. King?
It should be there.
Okay. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so if you're calling from outside the UK, you'll have to put +44 as the code, and then it's 753 996 3882. That's +44 753 996 3882, and then we'll take your question live. Okay, right, let's have a look at the chat. It's really buzzing. London, RB London, who was first, humans or animals? As you said, we grew in egg-like reptiles, so does that mean they are the first? No, you see, the thing is, most of the time when we ask questions, it's just something that we've been programmed with until you come into Wu-Sabat and your mind is open so that you don't look at the beginning of things as in just the planet Earth. As I just explained in the previous question, you have to go beyond this planet. There are millions and millions of planets, different life forms that started different places. And so when you're saying human, you're just talking about the words, English words, right? So English words are also the problem, because when you're speaking English, English is a dialect that has borrowed many words from different other dialects or languages, right? So this is why it's so important to break down words and learn etymology and the origins of words. That's what etymology is, a study of how did words come about? How did we choose to use that word to mean this? So when you're saying human, you're actually putting a compound of words, H-U, who, and man, right? And the man will tie into the mammal part of you, right? And the who deals with an ancient deity that is known as Hu in ancient Egypt, who is responsible for creative will, because you have to will things mentally into existence and using your mind to create. That's why in religion everything starts with creation, because someone or some being's mind created what you're seeing. Okay, so I'm saying that to say that when you say someone is a god, you're kind of saying they're beyond a human, because you have different classifications for beings. So super, if you're going to the top, you're saying supreme being. A supreme being is higher than a god, even though you're taught in religion that God is the highest or the first, right? But a god is just anyone in control, and that could be anyone or anything. There are many gods, different types of gods in different cultures with different names, all right? So that mental bondage of thinking of God as the number one, knowing everything, is not true. So to go back to your question, life forms started on different planets and different even galaxies and universes, right? So our ancestors, the Parnatharu, are first. Now, what you're calling animals, they're just different types of beings. So in terms of, you know, on this planet, many beings came from different places and were in the waters or living in the waters and evolving, even though outside the planet, there were beings, our ancestors, for example, known as the Riskians or the overseers, yeah, the Parnatharu. They are beings. They take on forms and look just like us. But they then seeded themselves on this planet by way of the Vulcan beings, which today most people know as the dolphins. So the question is, to answer the question, who was first, what we have to say is, what are you calling first? Because again, time is an illusion and it's only based on what you consider to be time. And animals, again, there are different types of animals, what you're calling animals. So who was first would be who was first, where, when, and then humans. Who are you calling humans? Because you got supreme beings, being, right? Then you got human beings, then humans, then or beings, then human beings, then humans, then man, then mammal, then beast, demons, ghouls, specters. Do you know what I mean? It's a whole classification, but most people will just say human and don't realize they're dealing with the natures of the two natures of being a mammal that evolved from water, as well as having those genetics from the Pan-Natharu by way of our ancestors in ancient Egypt, and who being one of those beings. See, sometimes people say, who created us? And you're literally saying who, as in H-U, he created us, or who created us. But you think of who as in W-H-O, but really you're saying who or hue, because people say human, because you have different hues, all right, when you're dealing with mankind or a kind of man. When you say mankind, that's what you're saying. And there are different types of beings on the planet composed of different things. Some don't have souls, you know, because you can lose your soul and regain your soul. But everything alive is vibrating, is moving, and it deals with having a spirit to keep you moving. All right, I hope that's answered your question. I know, yeah, the part about we were grown as eggs, what we were explaining is when we were talking about reptilians in specifically, that question was relating to reptilians, and we were saying that some reptiles lay eggs, right? And then the egg hatches, and then, you know, the baby comes out. And we were explaining that because we are also tied into that reptilian nature, and we evolved from the water. It's like when you study how a female gives birth, it's a similar process. It's just that it's on the inside now, as opposed to, say, the reptilians or the reptiles that lay the eggs on the outside, like, you know, like chickens and, you know, alligators and other things, where they actually like just they sit on the eggs and protect it until it's ready to hatch. So we're saying that if you look at the way the woman gives birth, it's also in a sack in water, and then it's covered, and then when that water breaks, that's a kind of relating to how when the egg hatches and then the baby comes out or is pushed out. So it's kind of like just telling people that we are tied into that reptilian nature, even though we have, you know, the Pan-Natharu or these higher beings are also in our DNA and our genetics. Okay, let's keep going to the question. Any information on hearing voices guiding me? They say they are my twin flame and soul family. Again, right? Wu-Sabat, this is from Draco, like hearing voices. We've done a video on that as well. And when people say they say or we and use these generic terms, but when you say they say, we need to know who the they are, because as I said at the beginning, many people have given you incorrect information. But hearing voices in your head is you've got a radio in your head that can transmit and receive frequencies, all right? And that could be your ancestors or external beings or just thoughts that are in the atmosphere that you're picking up. And it could be your ancestors guiding you, as you say, all right?
Yes.
Greetings.
Are you still there?
Yeah, Rahubat. Greetings. Who's calling?
Yes, greetings.
What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question, please?
My name is Brenny. I'm calling from Cape Town.
Rahubat, go ahead.
Yes, and my question is, I'm very interested in everything that you are giving out. I give thanks first of all, but we have a culture in our country back in Zimbabwe. We have a culture that we used to practice. Even now, some still practice, some they no longer do it. After a person has died, After about 1 year, the person is buried. There is like a reincarnation practice, to bring back the spirit into the family. We call it, we are bringing back the spirit so that the person can live with us again and protect his family. So I would like to know if there is a scroll from our master teacher that explains about such practices, like African culture. I have found out that here in Southern Africa, most cultures, they practice that the same way. I don't know what it's called in English, but in our Shona culture, we have a way, we have words, names of those practices.
Okay, no problem. All right. Thanks for the question. So, yes, many African tribes have retained some of their ways because from generation to generation, things are passed down by tradition, by word of mouth, and some cultures are able to retain, and South Africa obviously relates to the Sans people who, when you look on the planet, most of the traits of the genetics from everyone on the planet goes back to the Sans people because these were the beings that evolved from, you know, our original beings that came out of the water. And so they may have retained certain practices that they've kept for generations. And the master teacher has written extensively because being a supreme being, being one of the Nathars or one of the overseers, he addresses things both to deal with the physical world as well as the spiritual world. So he has written books on like the whole thing about life after death, the spiritual you after the physical you dies. There's so many, the 24 elders, there's so many ghosts, the ghost, Patarak. There are so many books that he has covered the subject of the spirit. We've got spirit, spirit, soul, 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 spirit, spirit, the 30 spirits. This is me just saying these titles from the dome, but you know, once you're with us in the Telegram groups, coming to the classes and connected with us, we share all these titles, all right? So that's important for you to do. Join the Telegram group where you learn and get the, you know, we'll give you recommendations for the books. But today, because there are so many tribes in Africa, some of them have been influenced and infiltrated by other races. Some of those traditions are no longer authentic or accurate as they once were. So by coming into Wu-Sabat and coming into the umbrella of all the tribes, we then go back to being taught the correct ways of how we do things. Because yes, even the ancient Egyptians, our ancestors, they were doing the opening of the mouth ceremony, which was knowing about the spirit and the soul and how to direct that energy towards, you know, home or the right place. And yes, spirits are repurposed or reused and souls reincarnate. So yeah, that's a very much something that we've been taught about by the master teacher. So but you need to be correct and know that in this day and time, if what a tribe is doing, if it's still as authentic as it was originally, but you will learn that by coming into Wu-Sabat and living Wu-Sabat, all right? Let's keep going. Right, this is from Val Bay. Is Enlil agreeable or disagreeable? Also, what is Enki agreeable or disagreeable? Simply, Enlil would be disagreeable and Enki would be agreeable, but agreeable and disagreeable to who and when and why? Because to agree is to agree. We agree on something. And then somebody else says, I don't agree with that. So they disagree. It's not to be mistaken with being good or bad. But however, if I'm doing something that is agreeable to me, but you think is disagreeable to you or bad to you, then you're going to say, I'm doing bad to you. But I've got another caller, so let me interrupt that and come back to it when I finish. Greetings, Rahubat. How you doing? What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Rahubat. My name is Lolade. I'm a Yoruba Nigerian born, living in America, Maryland to be
Yeah,
specific.
Rahubat, greetings, Lolade.
My question,
Yeah.
Is this a small question or a big question? My small question, are you a linguist and do you speak Yoruba? And my other question is pertaining amongst talking about like sex. I know you covered 360 degrees of knowledge, but when it comes to sex, I know you said what's in the bedroom stays in the bedroom. I wanted to see why is that? Because a lot of our youth right now are just like having sex with each other. There's not a lot of knowledge.
I got you. I am a linguist, but I don't speak Yoruba. I have family and people that do speak Yoruba, and I've been around listening to Yoruba, so I've picked up many things. But no, I don't actually speak Yoruba. In terms of when we say about sex, we cover everything. What we're saying is that we don't get involved in people's business as in their sexual preferences, right? Because, you know, you have people who are homophobic, people that are like what they call gay bashing, people that chastise and, you know, can be horrible and cruel to people just because they are of a different sexual preference. But we're not saying that we don't cover the subject of sexuality and what should be done and what should not be done. This is why the master teacher, Pandabab Yanun, has put out scrolls like the Gospel of Yanun on the sacred feminine to teach both male and female about how important that is. Not only that, he's also put out the genetic kiss, right? An actual fact, number 109, which goes into a lot of detail. He's even put out things like this scroll here, the actual fact, right? Number 22, called 18 plus 18 plus 1, 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA. Because when you're dealing with the whole issue of sexuality, exchanging bodily fluids, is very, very important because you're taking in DNA and generations of spirits from the people that you're mixing with. So it's not like we don't take it lightly at all. It's just that if people make a choice to be together and they're whatever their sexual preferences and they're doing whatever they're doing in their bedrooms, that's really none of our business. So that's what we're saying. We're not saying that we don't address and deal with the whole subject of sexuality to know what to do and when to do it and what not to do so that you can create, you know, a progeny of, you know, supreme beings. That's what we're really supposed to be doing, not just bringing beings into the world that can come here and create more of a problem than a solution. So I hope that's answered that question. We got someone else? Okay, Rahubat, greetings. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question, please?
Yes, Rahubat. My name is Tahim. I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York.
Hey, Rahubat.
And I'm calling just to ask what can we do as a collective, as a non-ether beings, to get our planet back on a physical state of consciousness? Because I know we're getting it back, you know, spiritually, and you know this is the age of 9 of completion. But what can we do? All right, let me just say it like this, because the master teacher, Dr. York, you know, I never really seen them in dashikis or nothing like that. I always seen them wearing feathers and things to represent America that's up here.
Right. Okay, let me answer the question. I got you, right? I want to get straight to it because of time. You said you haven't seen him dashiki, but that's how we started off. If you go back and look at when he first came on the scene, he was representing Wu-Sabat and wearing African cultural attires and even, you know, but what happened is by teaching us and going through the different schools of religion, we kind of like dressed according to those different schools. But the question you're really asking is, this is not just about spirituality, it's physical too. And that's why he showed us and created what we call Tamaray, which was, we had 476 acres of land where we built and basically provided everything for ourselves. And even today, as you're saying, the future is Africa, because all the resources that what the wealth that the West has got actually comes from the resources in Africa. You know, the oil, the platinum, the gold, the silver, the cobalt. You know, we can go on and on and on. So, our issue really is our ability to unite and come together in love or divine love and work together and be guided. And we've already done this to show that it's possible. And this is part of the problem why they incarcerated and kidnapped him, because he showed a way of life that we could rebuild the pyramids and rebuild certain structures, carry our rituals and practices in a peaceful way. And everyone from the planet was coming around there and they feared this. All right. So, yeah, it's about rebuilding as well, physically as well as spiritually, whilst we're still here. Is that a new person? Yeah. Rahubat, greetings. What's your name? What's your location? And what's your question, please?
Yeah, this is Kali Monk again from La La Land.
Hey, you're still there. You're still there.
Well, yeah, I'm I'm definitely gonna be leaving soon. After all the stuff I've seen about this presidential stuff,
Yeah.
and the fires and everything, it's all a smokescreen for the enlightened beings to do what they have to do on this planet, and then ultimately we have to have our own space and our own land. We can be, you know,
autonomous and do our thing. Yeah.
That's the exact word I was going to use. Autonomy. Yeah. Autonomous.
All right.
Okay. So my question is, what does the master teacher say about sovereignty? Because, you know, most people are here in America where we're not free. We're under the corporation. We're under the bond of the birth certificate and the social security card and everything. But what does the master teacher say about ways that we can get our sovereignty so we can be, you know,
got you.
so we can be independent, self-sufficient.
Got you. So the first thing is, many people haven't really studied or don't study sovereignty, because there are different aspects to what people call sovereignty. And you're already a sovereign. You don't really get sovereignty from someone else, because whoever it is you're going to get that sovereignty from, it means that you're giving up your sovereignty, because if you're here first and you're sovereign, then you're sovereign. However, what you have to do is let them know. And remember, the master teacher actually went through all of this, and this is why we are referred to as a retained sovereign nation, meaning that we've retained our sovereignty right from the get-go, from the beginning. But certain aspects of how you then interface and operate with other sovereign nations are things that have to be put in place by way of your government and your infrastructure, and having certain things, your land, your own language, you know, like in terms of the international community with other sovereign nations, what makes you a sovereign is if you're dealing with it on like the United Nations level, then there are certain things that you must have, which we have. We are a sovereign nation. We are a culture, a retained nation that has been here, and we're indigenous on the planet, not just in certain parts of the world. So we're already sovereign. But in terms of how we organize and operate, that's when you come inside, come into the family and work from the inside out. All right? But yeah, we're already a sovereign nation. I know the Moors and certain people try to teach. Remember, the master teacher was the one that actually taught a lot of people, or gave them the missing links in terms of how you are actually a sovereign, or you know, you have your own sovereignty. But there are different aspects and different types of sovereignty that people get confused with. But come on the inside, work with the family, and you'll realize you're already a sovereign. Rahubat, greetings. Who's calling? What's your name? Where are you calling from? And what's your question, please?
Rahubat.
Rahubat.
How are you speaking to Tuso? I'm calling from South Africa.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Hope you're well.
Doing my best. Go ahead with the question.
Yes, I have a question. I don't know if you are aware of Credo Mutwa from
Yes, I
South
am.
Africa. He's one of the Sanusis.
Yes,
So
I'm aware of him.
I used to follow him. Yes, I used to follow him and listen to him explain about the Anunnakis, and I've also listened to you explained quite well. But there's something that I've never really understood, because he had mentioned that in the ancient times, when these beings came to the earth, like man was having how do I put it, two sexualities. Yes.
Yeah, I'm with
so
you.
I wanted to understand how.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wanted to understand how, because he said they now had put the green light and a red light, and then those who walked through the red light became, I don't know if I remember well, but they became male, and the other ones became female. So I wanted to understand how that really actually happened. I think that's my only question. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay, so he was really mainly teaching about the Dogon and the beings that came to them from Sirius C. Sirius. They mapped out Sirius A, B, and B, and he teaches about them. But what you're talking about is referred to as the hermaphrodite and the hermaphrodite, and that's to explain that there are certain beings that have what we call a double resonance, meaning that they have, not only a double resonance in terms of their vibration, but they can also have the physical genitals of being both male and female. And there are beings that are referred to, as I said already, hermaphrodite or hermaphrodites. And if you read actual fact, the existence, how and why, and other actual facts, the master goes into explaining these types of beings, because they were responsible for, because they have the double resonance or double frequency, they were gatekeepers, and they were responsible for being involved in certain rituals to open the gates. All right, so that's kind of what is referring to. And so they will have, instead of the normal, like a female will have the XX chromosome and the male will have a Y chromosome, because the Y chromosome is a defected X, because the bottom right hand stem, if you're looking at it this way, is broken to give you the Y. So now you have XX and XY for male, but these beings, they will be XYX or YXY. They're different types of beings on the planet, not just humanoid beings, that when you start to study and look at their chromosome arrangements, not every being is humanoid like us. So, these beings, like for example, if you look in ancient Egypt and look at the being people call Ankh-Aten or Ankh-Aton Amun or Ankh-Aton, or basically Ankh-Aten. If you look at his figure, he looks like a feminine, because he's got hips and he's got mammary glands, or what people call breasts, and he looks feminine with even his stomach. And it's because he was also one of these types of beings, so he had a double resonance. So yes, it is possible that you can have beings with both genitals. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that they have that. Not everyone, of course. There's certain beings that are like that, but they don't actually have the double resonance. So read that actual fact I mentioned and join the Telegram group, and we can elaborate. Okay. And the red and the green light and the red light thing, that just explains that before certain beings incarnate here, they come by way of whether they lean to the green light, which is if you see the green light around the master teacher, that emerald, that green light is dealing with agreeable, and then what people are calling red is really amber, which is the amber light, which deals with the disagreeable side. And this is where you have those beings that follow the red or amber light, and you have those who follow the green light, and that plays out in the different stories. Like somebody's asking here about Cain and Abel, Enlil and Enki. These beings, like the ones that are disagreeable or cause a lot of chaos and havoc on the planet, you know, they follow that disagreeable light, and this is where, when you're saying light, you start to go into the different forms of light, different types of light. The Illuminati, which deals with a particular type of light. Then you have those are agreeable that deal with the green light, and they're two sides. And this is partly where you have to, and you can basically be taught and transform yourself, where you may have, by deception, behaving and acting in a particular way that is giving your light or your aura, yeah, or your epithet, you're giving it a negative, disagreeable aura, and then you're attracted and move towards disagreeableness and doing disagreeable things when you're really not naturally like that. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope that's helped. Let's move on. What was that question? Yeah, this is from, yeah, Des Brown. Greetings, Mr. OSM. My question is, in the Bible, with Cain and his lineage of family tree, is it the same as people we see today that commit murder from? Yeah, they're called the Cainites, not the Canaanites, the Cainites. And that, remember that Cain was actually the son that he got from Nana. So yeah, I'm sorry, Eve got from Nana, shall I say. So yeah, that's why this fight's always going on of competition between two brothers. And so yeah, that's important, because even in the Bible, when it tells you that that God was going to put enmity between the woman's seed, yeah, and the serpent seed, that's dealing with seed is zira in the language, which basically is sperm. And it was saying that the seed is multiplying on the planet. And even with the 200 fallen angels, they have children and offspring. And you also have the other 100 who are spirits without bodies. They also multiply, known as legions. So on the planet, you have all types of beings. The devil's seed this is why it's a deception to think that the devil is one person with a pitchfork with horns in a place called hell, which doesn't exist, because that makes you forget that the devil can come in many forms. You know, it can come in all sorts of forms, because you're dealing with the energy and how that energy is able to be used to achieve his objective. So that's why we say be aware of your energy, be aware of the ability to receive energy, harness energy, transform energy, transmute it, and do all sorts of energy, because everything's ultimately energy. All right, so hope that's helped. Let's keep going. Can we speak to and get help from family members who've passed that are not our ancestors, like cousins, brothers? Yes, of course. They're part of your bloodline, and you can connect with them, and yes, you can speak with them and tune in, but you need to know how, and the rituals and everything that goes along with that, which we're taught by way of Wu-Sabat. Join the Telegram group. Most of the questions that people are asking, if you're new, it's okay, but if you're not new, most of these questions have already been answered in the Telegram group. So join the Telegram group, and when you're in the Telegram group, there are many resources like media and links and images and videos and things that, when we answer the question, we also give you all these resources to go along with it. I love that question. Eternal entertainment television. Okay, before that, it's a quick question to answer. Gosh, I'm going to come to that question. I like that question. I'm not going to forget that one. All right. Cover that. Freedom for the Master, Dr. Malachi ZK, Virgin Island. Absolutely, each one teach one. Spread the word. Let everyone know about him. Can we speak to and get you? I've just answered that. You can. Do animals really see spirits? Do animals really see spirits? Yes, they do. This is a good question. This is why dogs were used in funerary rites, because they would warn you, because there are entities that want to come and take the soul and take, when the person passes away. So dogs, or was referred to as the jackal, and then when you look at Anubis or Anupu, he was that representative of that, because they would guard these, and you see them barking, like looking in a direction and barking when and warning off these entities that will come in to take spirits. So yes, animals really do see spirits. They have spirits themselves. Okay, so I'm so confused. What does Rahubat mean? Rahubat means greetings. Rahub means greet. And when it's plural, you have the double AT at the end. So Rahubat. So that we're saying greetings. And you might hear us say Rahubat Muisar, which means Rahubat family. Okay, that's Arctic. Okay, back to the question I was so happy about, Eternal Entertainment Television. How is the documentary coming? We're almost at 100,000 subscribers. Listen, man, we're waiting for that magic number. When you guys get to that 100,000 subscribers, we need your help. That's why we keep saying subscribe, share, let everyone subscribe. We've got so much to share with you. Like, you're going to unlock that. You know, like when you're playing a game and you get to certain points and you unlock certain things? That's what the 100,000K is going to do for us. So help us get there, and we will definitely share the gifts we have. Greetings, Rahubat. Who's calling? Where are you calling from? And what's your question, please?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm JJ from Bronx, New York.
Hey, JJ.
How you doing, sir?
Doing my best. I'm cool, JJ,
Okay.
as well, by the way. But that's another.
Okay. I'm a little hype right now.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Ever since I started listening to you, my mom kind of don't like it. What can you say about that? Because she born a Christian person with a Jesus Christ as a white person in the face and all that stuff.
You just answered your own question.
She's not here right now. She's not here right now.
Yeah. I'm saying you just answered your own question. You said, why doesn't she like it? I don't know what the it is, but
Okay.
And then you said because she's a Christian, and that's the question. That's the answer. Because if you've been brought up all your life accepting and believing something which you think is 100%, and then somebody comes along and tells you it's the lie, or it's not the truth, or not the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, then it's going to shake your foundation. It's going to make you think, oh, what's going on here? So the point is...
So when I tell my mom, there's not a white guy in the sky come down with a white beard and white hair and a white robe and a staff come to save you. And she look at me like I'm stupid.
Yeah, I know. We've all been through that. But what you have to do is don't badger her. Don't try and push her.
No.
I'm just saying, like, yeah. I'm saying focus on yourself and doing your best, and by way of your example, because you will start to transform if you're following the ways of Wu-Sabat. And in time,
I've been on that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's all you can do, and then you share what you can, and sometimes it will take somebody else that she listens to or is close to her. So, for example, we have a lot of ministers.
No. She has a very, very, very old Bible.
Yeah.
At her footstep every time. The Bible's so old you don't want to know, man.
No, what I was going to say is, like, for example, if somebody that she respects that was in the church, and then they turn around and go into Wu-Sabat, and then she may listen to them more than she will listen to you. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes she has to get it, or people have to get it from some other route as opposed to it coming directly from you. Because sometimes we don't listen to people that are close to us, but we would listen to someone else. So I would say for now, You just keep doing what you're doing, excuse me, and then in time,
Okay.
you know, she'll
Okay.
hopefully,
Okay.
yeah. All right.
Man, yes, thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you, man. Thank you for picking up my call.
No problem.
All the way from Bronx, New York. So where
Yeah.
you at, sir?
That's good. You know, we have a community in Bushwick, in Brooklyn, in New York. So
Oh,
check them out.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Respect. Yes,
Respect. Yeah. Okay. So help us reach 100,000 so we can unlock more gifts and the documentary for you. Thanks, Dom Lynch. Love the content. Okay. Darren, why is 3 a.m. called the bewitching hour? Does it have some to do with a no, it's called that because at 3 a.m. is when gates are open. And let me explain something about the gates and stuff, which kind of ties into what some people consider or call the flat earth, with the dome. And like I say, like they've just got to change that name because the earth's not flat. They just got to change the name. But some of what they describe has some significance. So there are domes over the earth, and these domes are controlled by the same higher beings, extraterrestrial beings that I've mentioned. And so gates open at specific locations at different places at different times. This is why, relating to the 3 a.m., these gates open so that beings that have crossed over can leave through these gates. And unfortunately, at the same time as the gates are open, disagreeable beings also come through. So you find a lot of spiritual activity happening at that time, and a lot of abductions and certain things are also done by these disagreeable entities that come through. So that's partly why it's referred to by that, the bewitching hour. And the thing is that when you're traveling or trying to get out of this planet, because this planet, a lot of beings are quarantined here. They're not able to leave. There are disembodied spirits and beings that are trapped here and cannot leave. And so, and if you're trying to launch rockets or things to get out of here, unless, or even come here, remember that we're on a craft that is traveling at a speed on an orbit. And so because you're constantly moving, the trajectory to open, to go through a gate has to be timed accurately and specifically. And then there are beings that are guardians that guard these gates and stop people entering in and out. Just like what's going on with, the whole immigration thing with the governments on the planet, where they're stopping or guarding people coming in, but people still find ways to get through the borders. And I'm saying that when you're traveling intergalactically, you have to know the trajectory and time it right when it opens to get through. And not only that, but to to also time how you go from, it's kind of like if planets are moving in different rotations and different orbits, and you kind of have to hop from one to the next to get through. It's not a very simple thing. So for those who have been watching and seeing, like, some beings are trying their best to get out of here and they can't. And yeah, just wanted to touch on that in relation to the gates opening and the 3 a.m. and the bewitching hour, yeah? Yeah, so I've answered that question. Let's move on to Queen Africa. Are we seeing different moons in the world? It could be full moon in one country and a crescent moon elsewhere. Moons are just satellites, okay? Satellite, like the moon on the planet Earth is a satellite of the Earth because it's also orbiting along with the Earth. And depending on which angle you're looking at it from, because remember that you've got the sun, which you've got our planet, and then you've got the sun, and then you've got the moon. And our planet, basically can overheat, which is why when the shadow is blocking one side of the planet, it's cooling down. And we call it the shadow hours because there's no such thing as night, all right? And then the other side will be facing the sun, and then it rotates. And different positions, trajectories, because you're dealing with an orbit that happens, you know, you got like the lunar month and the solar month, and so, or the solar year and the lunar year. So depending on where things are, you will see different aspects of them based on the shadow blocking them and things like that, all right? So yeah, you can see different moons, which are just satellites of different planets at different times. Okay, yeah, tour. Rahubat, greetings. What's your name? Someone who was asking what Rahubat is, because we keep saying Rahubat. That's why I follow it up with greetings, which means greetings. What's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
Okay, Rahubat, Ken.
Hey, Rahubat.
Yes, I appreciate everything you're doing. I do believe in a lot of what you're saying, and I believe that the master teacher has actually visited me on a psychedelic trip. I do take psychedelics. I know you said like not to really do the mushrooms and all of it, but I've been doing it for quite some time now.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say on that, yeah, that the lessons that I've learned through a teacher called Kalindi E. I don't know if you know who this person is. Yeah. And like basically is like a lot of the outer realms that you're chatting about is actually inner. And you actually enter them through your temple, like through the psychedelics and whatnot. And if you know on mushrooms, yeah, it's called panspermia. Like basically they were here, they're what created all the soil on the planet. I don't know if you know that to be true. Yeah. So like when mycelium, can I just finish what I'm saying quickly? So like when mycelium eats rock, yeah, it actually poos out soil. And you can Google these things, innit? And like, so like all the plants and all these kind of things. So like, when you, because I have spoken on the mushroom to you before, and you kind of like said it's not really good for us to be taking these kind of like things, yeah? And our thing was like, but it's like kind of like our birthright, because they're everywhere. And not only that, they've actually transformed me from who I was before to like who I am kind of like now. And like, just to finish it off here, sorry, yeah? Like, the outer realms, so like, you was chatting about this dome thing, I was just listening, yeah? How can we triangulate, like, the sun? This is what baffles me, like, because I'm kind of like, I know we say, like, the flat earth, but we can, when you see the sun in the summertime, I'm in England just like you, yeah? When you see the sun in the summertime, and it's behind a cloud, you can actually triangulate it, the sun rays, because they poke out at like an angle, and it proves that it's actually not that kind of like far. So if you can kind of like round that up and kind of like give me some kind of like an answer. I know I've kind of like went off a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, because when someone talks a lot and go around, it's like, okay, what's the question? But what I will do is try and pick out.
One of these days.
Sorry?
I'm actually going to come in and see you guys one of these days, 100%.
Yeah, definitely do that. You know, we could even do a one-to-one if you want. But let me answer what I can remember and pick up. And when we say to people, keep the question short, it's not because we don't want to answer it, but see Dubo, I see you, thank you. It's because for the donation that is, it's because you're listening and you're trying to remember everything so you don't forget when you answer the question. That's why it's like easier to just say different questions short and then. But anyway, the first one about the master's visited you. The master does visit and has visited many people through what they call visions and their dreams and so on, and no one can impersonate him. So if you've had an experience with him, then did you talk to him? What did he say to you? Did he advise you and things? And if you have any questions for him, you know, there's been the opportunity to ask him questions directly through the official website, unitedsabiansworldwide.com. So if you do have questions for him directly, you can also, you know, ask them through that. We don't advocate, we're not saying obviously there are natural herbs and natural things that you take in its natural form, but we don't advocate trying to induce having a spiritual or psychedelic effect, because that can mess with your being in ways that you don't even know, especially on a spiritual level. So we don't advocate, and the master doesn't teach you to take anything to induce getting those experiences. And as I've explained on I think on another video, is that there's so many different realms within realms that, yes, you might experience a realm and think that's it, or that the realm you've gone to or have experienced that, like, for example, someone who thinks, okay, I've gone to heaven or I've gone somewhere else, they will come back and tell everyone else, I went to heaven, because of where they were able to experience. But that could just be one level of many, many levels of that particular realm. So, trying to remember what else the question was about, because there was so much. Yeah, the suns are just stars. There's millions and billions of stars, and we say the sun, and we talk about one because we're relating to the closest one to us, and but it is actually a gateway as well. Like if you look at the Orion star constellation, right? You have the belt of Orion, and those stars are gateways that you can actually travel through if you know how, so yeah, it all depends on what. We got another call. Okay, greetings, Rahubat. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question?
I am from Germany. And my question would be that I came across in the reading of the Holy Tablets that Enki and Endel was called the son of Anu. And my question would be that is Anu the supreme being that I am in the far future, who is using me and my body to control this world, to so that the world becomes in such a form that I find myself in this world, my own picture. I mean, so when I understand the knowledge of the Supreme Being, can I say that I am automatically a son of Anu? This is what I wanted to ask. So,
okay, right, I got you. So Anu is a title that many beings have held, and that is really dealing with the Anunnaki. So there were we did a video called Anunnaki. If you haven't seen that video, check that out. But we explain about Anunnaki and different Anus, and the Anu that people are speaking about mainly is the ninth Anu, and that's just a title that is translated as the Most High in the Bible. So you can actually, be the Most High, but it's like, what are you being judged against, and what are you measuring? And so we say that title, just like on our planet right now, you have like the president or the prime minister or the mayor, or they're just titles that people can aspire to. And Anuship was the highest title, and that's what you're referring to. So you can become the Most High. Like right now, we can say the most intelligent person on the planet right now is Pana Babyanun. So he would be the Most High in terms of intelligence, because to say you're high, you have to be measuring it against someone or something, all right? So, but yeah, Enlil and Enki are just his children, they're people. And yeah, so you can aspire to be the Most High in whatever subject or title that you want to have. Let me take this other question.
Mum Christian.
Oh, right, yeah, go ahead, caller.
I'm Jermaine, sir. How you doing,
Hey,
sir?
Jermaine,
Good.
yeah, how you doing?
Okay.
I just want to know what it takes for people to be so stupid and just act accordingly in life.
To be stupid and act accordingly, as acting stupid. Or
No, what I mean, everybody got to be good to each other.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
Wu-Sabat,
okay. I got you.
you know,
Yeah. I mean,
why people got to be on the other side like that?
well, it's all about the natures and the DNA, and this is why we're saying that Wu-Sabat has the ability to bring about that nature where you can have a group of people that can live together in peace and harmony based on the fact that they trust and have correct information which governs how they think and then ultimately how they behave. Because people are, say, doing things or taking things into their bodies that's affecting them mentally and physically. And so when you know what's better for you, then, you know, it's like, for example, if you're taking in too much sugar or too much salt or too much blood meat or, you know, things that are not good for you, they're going to result in how you act and how you behave, you know. So by changing that, you actually change your habits and your nature and how you are. So that's why Wu-Sabat is here, to help people make that transition so that we can actually get along and live in peace and harmony. All right. Right, this is Adrian Reed. I just joined. I'm searching for truth and trying to live my life how I'm supposed to. Yeah, welcome. Join the Telegram group. Start reading the scrolls. Ask questions and apply the knowledge that you're gaining. First of all, research and check things out for yourself so that you're not believing and just following somebody blindly. If you just listen to me and just believe me, then you're a believer. This is what religion requests of people, to just be believers. That's why they always say you must believe in something. Everybody must believe in something. What do you believe? But we say it's better to know than to believe. So knowledge is more powerful than belief. Okay, we've got another caller. Hey, greetings. Rahbat, what's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
My name is Brenda, and I'm calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
Hey, Rahbat.
Yes, how are you? And I just want to be real quick. I appreciate your lessons and your teachings very much. It's just so exciting to hear someone that I truly believe is speaking the truth every time I listen in.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And oh, you're welcome. And I've been wanting to ask certain questions for a long time. I wear the Ankh like you do, have been for many, many years. And I used to deal with an elder that I brought a Ankh from. It was a large, really large, it was a bracelet.
Yeah.
And I wore it for, never took it off. It was very sturdy, strong, sterling silver. And I went to bed one night, and when I woke up, probably early in the morning, I heard this noise outside my window that sounds crazy, but sound like a chariot of some kind, something made out of wood, rolling on the side of my house. And so my husband went to the basement thinking someone had broke in and stole maybe a lawnmower or something that rose, but nothing was missing. But when I went to take my shower, the bracelet was missing. And I wondered for many, many years, this happened, probably about 10 years ago now. I just wondered, I know that bracelet stands for crossing over, for us to cross over. So I was wondering, did a spirit or something come to take it? I never saw the bracelet again.
I mean, I would only be really speculating, and I can't really speak on, you know, your personal experience. But we do know that we speak about extraterrestrials all the time and people being abducted and beings coming and taking things, and you know they're so advanced that some of them can actually just like freeze or missing time. You will be like, oh, wake up and you're missing time, and you wouldn't even realize until later on. And you speak to people, and they were like, you might be like, what's today? And they're like, Tuesday, and you're like, I could have sworn today was Monday, or do you know what I mean? Like you're disorientated because something has taken place, and they've just kind of like put you back, and you've carried on without even realizing that what has taken place. So without and yes, when you're dealing with spirits can't really they can move objects, but they can't really well, some of them they're in a different realm and world, so they can't actually operate on the physical other than utilizing beings and people in the physical to do what they would like, or just moving things if they're very powerful. So yes, without going into like speculation, it is possible. But yeah, unfortunately, I can't tell you by looking into a crystal ball or something and say, yeah, this is what happened. But keep studying, keep reading the scrolls, and the one person on the planet that we know that can answer all questions is our master teacher. So just stay on the journey. Eventually, you know, you might have the opportunity where he might be able to tell you if you're ever in his presence and able to. Or the other thing you can try and do is get in tune with your ancestors, communicate with them. If they're on the spirit realm as well, then they might be able to come in your dreams or vision or something and guide you and give you, you know, directions or information to figure it out. And eventually, you will get to know the answer. So I would say just keep looking for those signs, all right?
Okay, well, I certainly appreciate that. And I also have just one other bizarre situation that happened back in 2003, because I've heard you mention certain, I think it was the Anunnaki or maybe Nibiru, maybe from 2003.
Yeah.
I went outside with my two boys at that time because the news kept saying if you go outside, you can see Mars with your naked eye. So I didn't believe them. So something told me about 11 o'clock at night or a little after 11 when they mentioned it. And I said, I'm going to go out here and see if I can see it. And I asked my boys to come out there with me. And we stood there and looked. And right where they said Mars was, this huge figure came from behind that star, the planet Mars, that they said was Mars. And it was this huge creature with wings that was unbelievable. It put you in the mind of if you was just to look at it from the ground, like a pterodactyl. But it wasn't, because when the light, it was so close to that star that you could see the light reflect on its wings, and the wings were like the texture of buffalo hair. It was brown, and on the edges was pure white like snow. And the span of those wings was beyond anything I could have ever imagined. So so that I wouldn't scare the boys, because it scared them because they saw it too. So I asked them to, without discussing it, I said, let's draw pictures of what we saw. And of course, they could draw much better than me. And their pictures were similar to mine, but it was something that was out of this world. And so when you mentioned 2003, and then I read about it, my husband and I have been following Malachi York since 1982.
Wow.
So
that's a long time.
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. Just my whole past that I see things, and my husband don't quite see things, but he believes me. So we have researched and just gone into our history from that far, because nobody else could give us an answer. So when he was the one that turned me on to your show,
right,
and I've told everybody about it, of course, but a lot of people are not believers. They really are hooked onto the Christian religion.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you, just because of time.
I know. I wish I could talk to you off this line.
You can on the Telegram group, or you know, we can do one-to-ones, and that's fine. But yeah, because we got a lot of questions that people are waiting,
Yes.
What I just wanted to say quickly is, you said a lot of people are not believers. The majority of people are believers and not knowers, and they believe
Yeah.
and they believe, and believing is to not know. So what we're basically saying is that Malachi, Dr. Malachi Z.K. Yopanabab Yanun has been teaching, and we teach that these, what we call in extraterrestrials, they're in the skies. They live in the skies. They're camouflaged. They can shapeshift and take forms and have different types of crafts. So people
Yes.
will visualize or see things in the sky, like, because he wrote a book called Mystery Clouds, Are There UFOs in Our Midst? And he said, look at the sky. Sometimes if you look at the sky, you will see, you know, all kinds of beings that are camouflaging. So that's not impossible to have seen something like that. So yeah, we know, if you've been following him since the 80s. So wow,
Yes.
that's a very long time.
So, you know, that's why I'm so excited. I don't want to take up more of your time, but I am so thrilled that you picked up the phone. And I just, every time I look at your show, I just thank God for your show, you and your staff, for bringing all of these truths to us, because we need it.
Thank you. Thank you. We definitely do. All right. Until the
Yes.
next time, what do for now?
Okay, have a good one.
To tell that. Okay, so let's see where we can pick up. Okay, someone else's. A lot of individuals I talk to, this is Quen Moor, if I'm pronouncing it properly. A lot of individuals I talk to is afraid that the world is ending in the fashion of Chicken Little. How would I explain better? I kind of remember Chicken Little. It's a cartoon, isn't it? I'll have to go back and watch that. But what's important is the word the world, because people say the world, and to them that means something completely different. Is it their backyard? Is it their, their city? Is it their country? Are they looking at it as the continent, the planet? Because the world is quite generic. So the world is ending, or what you know as the world, or the type of world we're living in, is ending, and it's not the entire world if you're thinking the entire planet is ending. However, there is a risk of that happening if we don't wake up, if we don't raise enough people on the planet to change the I try to use simple words, but I can't think of a better word than the trajectory that we're heading in as humanity, with the rumors of wars, the threat of using atomic bombs and missiles, atomic missiles and things like that. So we can actually destroy the planet. And this is what's going on right now in terms of, the many wars on the planet right now, where there are high tensions, with Ukraine and Russia, with what's going on in Israel. And, they've had a quick ceasefire, but, the president, Trump's just come in. There are lots of tensions along that could definitely mean that if we destroy this planet, we can get into a thing where the planet can be pulled into the sun, and then all the other planets pulled in along with it as a holocaust, which would basically mean that, that's why it's not in our interest to be looking at wars, and this is what Wu-Sabat is here for. So you can explain it that the world is changing or coming to an end in the term of we're moving from a new cycle to a new cycle. We're leaving the 60th world behind us, dealing with the chaos and the lies and all that stuff, going into the sun cycle, and there's a change that's happening. Some people are gonna not make it, and others will. This is why you have to raise your vibration and consciousness. But yeah, let's take this call. Greetings, Rahubat.
Greetings.
Go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question?
Yeah, I'm local. My name's Marcus. I'm calling from the UK, within the UK.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Nice.
My question is, what's the take? What does the master teacher Malachi Z York have on? What's his take on Rastafarism?
Okay. Right. So, Wu-Sabat welcomes everyone, and but obviously he addresses and teaches on every topic. He's actually written a book called Haile Selassie the Christ, and it deals with Rastafarism in that book. And when you say what's his take on it, just like anything else, he breaks down and gives you the actual facts about, you know, what people, it's kind of really another form of religion if you really look at its origin and where they're saying it comes from, dealing with even Ras, you know, that's one of the names that he was known by, and they tried to tie him into being the conquering lion of Judah and give him titles that he didn't claim or that didn't belong to him. But however, in terms of anyone can come from any walk of life into Wu-Sabat. If it's about eating properly, then yes, eating healthily, that's great. In terms of locks, there are misconceptions in terms of what the original locks were and what people are wearing today. There are different types of rastas as well. You've got those who are just like wearing dreads and just following, you know, a particular, it's like, you know, hear fashion dread, you hear all types of, you know, different classifications. But if you're dealing with actual facts in terms of eating healthily, wanting to deal with your ancestors, because even when you go back to like Ethiopia and the Coptics, it's all going back to Christianity, even though they will say it's in its earliest form. We predate all of that. So in terms of, he has addressed, you know, the recordings on YouTube that he has addressed every type of way of life and religion or whatever. So it's more about him just giving the facts about who Haile Selassie was, where, you know, Rastafarism comes from, what they do, and just giving the actual facts, really. So I don't know what more I can tell you, but really it's about coming into Wu-Sabat and living Wu-Sabat in this day and time. I hope that's helped. Okay, I had a question I've just lost. Thank you so much for opening our minds. It's all by way of Parnabab Yanun, the master teacher, that has opened my mind up, and then we in turn help to open others, hence each one teach one. Okay, that's peace to the gods and goddesses. Now we rise. Free Shad Jamal, free Dr. York, facts. Okay, I'm on Telegram, best to me. Okay, your volume is, my volume is low, is it? Oh, is that someone else? Yeah, it might be your side, because no one else is that, and you might have to turn up your device, all right? Okay, let me just take this. The promo doctor. Are aliens black people? I've always been curious about this. I tell my friends I think we are all the time. There are what you're calling aliens or extraterrestrials in all races, but yes, we are the original aliens, if you want to call it that way, but we are the original beings that seeded this planet, and our ancestors upon Tharu are what you would call black. But there are different types of extraterrestrials. Look at our videos. We've done videos on the different extraterrestrials as well. All right. Anton Moore, welcome. Welcome to OSM. Yeah, remember to subscribe. It's not just about knowledge, it's about doing as well, helping us to build. Okay. Yeah, go on then. Go for your question.
When you say other planets, are you meaning other landmass surrounded by water? From my understanding, Earth is the land, not the water, and we call Earth a planet.
That's a good question. Well, this is what I'm saying, that when you're using words, we have to be very specific, because we say the planet Earth, but we know that the Earth part is less than the water part. So why do we call it the planet Earth when there's more water than there is Earth? And I said when I say other planets, I'm talking about, you know, like Mars, Jupiter, you know, the different planets in our solar system. And then that's just our solar system. But then you look at other solar systems. When you say solar system, solar deals with the sun, and then you have bodies that orbit that sun, and depending on how many suns there are in that system, you know, like the master teachers, where he comes from, excuse me, the galaxy Ilion, he comes from a planet called Risk, where they have 3 suns, you know. So yeah, planets are referring to bodies that are outside or orbit of a, you know, like on our solar, in our solar system, we have many planets. That's what I mean when he said planets. You know, Jupiter, what's the other ones? I can't remember the, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune. Yeah, you know the planets. I can't remember all of them at the moment. All right, let's keep going.
Earth, Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus.
Yeah, Uranus. Man, this is so wrong in so many ways that I cannot say. What does that mean? What is so wrong? That's Babylon done outside the box. Yeah, people will say, make statements like this is so wrong. What is the this and what is wrong? Let's substantiate it. Okay, great video, enjoyed. I haven't finished the video from last night. Had to get up early. That's Dom Lynch. Yeah, watch all of it. Share it. Okay, a lot of things that you are mentioning, I believe, are very accurate. See, that spell of belief again, but again, you only believe until you know, isn't it? To tell someone how I know you're accurate, I will have to tell them very personal details from childhood till now. Exactly. People have had so many experiences, and that's why we say how you can know something is one of 3 tests: evidence, reason, and experience. And if you've had an experience, there's no way anybody can tell you different, because you experienced that yourself. And some people have not had the experience, so they won't know, and they have to rely on the evidence or using their mind to reason. So yeah, some things if I were to tell you some things I've experienced, and I'm sure many others, yeah, some people, they try and put you into that box of being crazy, but then you look at what they're doing, or accepting and believing, is even more crazy than what you're doing, and they think you're the crazy one. That's funny. Okay, did you watch the inauguration, and do you think symbolism is used to send messages? Of course, absolutely. A symbol or a picture tells 1,000 words, and it's also subliminal, and it has energy and can do things. So I didn't watch all of it. Of course, if you watch it, it's rituals, and some of the stuff is stolen and taken from our ancient ways as well. Yeah, I didn't watch all of it. I watched some of it, but yeah, definitely symbolism is used to send messages. What else? Okay, yeah. We're going to be doing Zoom one-on-one soon. So if you're interested in speaking to me, please contact us via info@osmvision.co.uk. That's an email address. info@osmvision.co.uk. So yeah, we want to start to talk to more people, because some of the times the one-to-ones, you know, people that are abroad or living in different countries, you know, it just logistically makes sense for us to do the one-to-ones on Zoom. So we're going to be introducing that as well, so we can open it up and speak to more people worldwide. All right, so if you're interested in that, send an email to info@osmvision.co.uk, and we will put you on the list. Grand Rising, greetings from Sydney, Australia. Do you guys do tours in Egypt? Not at the moment, not at the moment. That's something we've spoken about, and yeah, we might look into that. But to be honest, yeah, we've been to Egypt many times, and every time we go, it seems to be going downhill, and we don't know how long it's going to be there for. So if you want to do that before it's gone, then you should try and do so as soon as. But yeah, we'll let you know. We'll keep you posted.
What do they say about Egypt and graveyard and Tamaray?
Graveyards, yeah, we're looking at people are looking at Egypt today as is great, but it's really now like, for lack of a better word, it's like a graveyard because it's derelict. It's like the ruins of what used to be a great place, even though the pyramids are still there and people are still baffled how they were built. But in terms of what it is, if you go there, you will see that most of the stuff is destroyed. And so that's why we refer to it as it's like a graveyard, because they're digging up the tombs to find, you know, the mummies and our ancestors, and basically being disrespectful, taking them out, do you know what I mean, and doing all kinds of tests, putting them in museums and all kinds of things. But we are going to rebuild it. That's what, you know, we've been told, and if we want, we can rebuild it in a much, much better way as well. So that's why we keep saying, come in, come home, join in, wake up, start helping, start getting involved, and let's work and let's rebuild. All right. Why do I keep getting into fights even though I avoid them? Yeah, you got to remember that you can easily be triggered or even get what we call walk-ins, right? Walk-ins are beings that can walk into you, and they're the ones that are doing the instigating, and you find out that after you've got into the fight or whatever, they walk out. And then you wonder, how did I get into another fight? So it's all about learning how to have a psychic self-defense, how to control your emotions, and to be in a position where your mind is strong enough to basically be able to avoid confrontations and ultimately to avoid fighting. Was there a planet called Meldic, and have you heard of this guy named Bedell? Because he talks, yeah, there was a planet called Meldic. That was the planet that, and it's spelled Meldic as in Maldek, not DEC. Yeah, Meldic was the planet that Nibiru had the accident with, and then ultimately bumped into Tiamat, which was the name of this planet at the time. And that planet is also referred to as, because it's now on a different orbit, and it's now referred to as the lost planet. And then you have other planets that change their orbit based on that, because like Nibiru itself is a planetoid ship, and it's now on an orbit known as a Shah, which I think is 3,600 years. But before that, it was on a larger orbit. But that's Meldic, yeah. The master teacher broke that down in the books like it's God and Extraterrestrial and Creation, and many, many books. The Holy Tablets, of course, that goes into the story of the crash of Nibiru into Meldic, and then ultimately having that effect on Tiamat. He talks about Dr. Malachi Ziyok a lot, saying he's right about what's happening, 100%. Okay, I like the idea of rebuilding the pyramids. Yeah, we're going to do that. We already did that as a blueprint just in Georgia, Tamaray, Egypt of the West, and just even that, the attention it received, and this is why the principalities in higher places got basically upset, because they saw the works that we were doing by uniting and working together. But that was just a black print of the ones we're going to rebuild. So get involved. I have tried to download. I can see it shows 93 people are live, but when I try to follow the procedure, it ended up taking me to code issue. I don't know. Is that? They're trying to join the Telegram, but they can't. Oh, okay. It may just ask you to verify, or like maybe your phone needs to download the app or something. But you know, many people have been able to join just clicking the link. So just make sure you got that Telegram Messenger app on your phone. Eric McGee. In addition, the song performed was Before I Let Go. Oh, you're talking about the inauguration, Before I Let Go. The lyrics in that song, along with the mascot and the performance being for the inauguration was very ritualistic. Yeah, look at anything that they do, like with whether it's the Super Bowl or any of the, you know, the major events. There's always symbology and messages being told in the background if you're paying attention, if your eyes are open. I don't know what that Marcus is. Oh, is that okay? Is that you? I shave my head bald so I stay in my yard. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, it's cold though, isn't it? Right now the weather's kind of peak all over the world. Even in America right now, in New York and even in London, it's quite cold. So yeah, you can't be shaving your head. All right, we've got a new caller. What's your name? What's your question? Where are you calling from?
Arizona. Name is Sakad. I'm wondering are they telling the truth now, all these governments, about melanated people, because Anu is coming back?
No, they're telling the truth because Malachi is here, and it's a time period of the new sun cycle with the era of truth. This part of Anu coming back, I don't know where that information is coming from, because a lot of people are misinterpreting certain information. Nibiru is what people are talking about coming back, and saying that obviously it can't come here anyway because it's too big. So what it does is it sends other crafts, but you have to remember there are different extraterrestrials coming here, and our ancestors upon Natharu, they don't, you know, they're different. They have their own crafts and different things going on simultaneously. And at the beginning I was saying how there's so much confusion, because when chaos is created, then you don't know what's true and what's false, you know. So you have to know which beings, which ancestors, because even now there's something I might call intergalactic racism, because you have, when we speak about our ancestors, talk about the Panatharu, like if you think about it, when I say racism, if you think about the different race of extraterrestrials, most of the time they don't show you black extraterrestrials. They show you the Greys, they show you the Pleiadians, they show you different beings as extraterrestrials, but they don't really show you what the black extraterrestrials look like. And so what I'm basically saying is that you have beings that are claiming certain things. Like if you, like I've heard some people, Caucasians, say, "Oh, who built the pyramids? Oh, it was built by the Pleiadians," you know. Or you'll get another race of people that will try and claim things because they want to claim their ancestors as extraterrestrials to be the ones that did certain things, which is not, again, true. So not only on the planet do we have different races, and then the racism thing is created, but now as you're getting into the whole ET and extraterrestrials, now you've got different species of extraterrestrials, and people are trying to claim that they're the best or the highest extraterrestrials, but we know different. So I'm just saying that the Anunnaki are separate from the Panatharu. And for many years, and most people talk about the Anunnaki because the Anunnaki are responsible for the books of the Bible by way of, you know, these tablets like the Enuma Elish, the Gilgamesh epics, which became what people are calling the Bible and the Quran and all those books today. So predominantly, those characters are Anu and his children and, you know, their family. So everyone talks about the Anunnaki because they didn't realize or know about the Panatharu. And this new information is where Panabab Yanun, opening the seventh seal, starting to teach us about who these beings are, the Panatharu. So now more and more people are going to learn about the Riskians. They're going to learn about, you know, these beings that were here first, who were actually the highest in terms of the different types of extraterrestrial. So don't believe the hype. Oh yeah, yeah, no. So I'm just saying the belief thing because it's something that is programmed. So I hear you when you say I only use the term belief because I have not worked that out. I got you of my vocabulary yet. Yeah, it's true. And we have to, this is work in progress, that we have to replace the terms and the words that we say, because you might not think it's significant, but it makes a big difference where, you know, like people say, oh Lord, oh Jesus, oh my God. Now, if you multiply that by the amount of people worldwide around the planet that are saying that tone every day, it creates a vibration and a frequency that keeps permeating that energy, that same Jesus energy, Jesus. So why we're saying, like, you have to train yourself and wean yourself off of these habits of using certain tones, because you're keeping those spirit forces, 6E for spirit forces, alive. That's Leviathan. So we have to start transforming and changing everything to the correct tones and vibrations. Hence, you have to also learn the language, our language. Okay. Greetings, Marcus. What's your question?
My question is basically, what is the end goal? And you know, like when black people are back in their rightful place, you know, which may not happen in our lifetime, is it a thing where, you know, what will white people accept it, or will they have to practically be wiped from the earth? Like,
It's this black and white people thing. It's again.
I don't specifically mean black and white, but you know, the Nefaru thing against the, you know, Palladian.
Okay. Let me try and answer the question for you. So, you've got specific beings and people that follow those beings that are creating the chaos on the planet. Those beings are the ones getting wiped out. And when you say we won't live to see it, we will. It's happening right now. We are living in the day and time where these changes are taking place. And so it's about, as somebody also mentioned, like a timeline between now and 2030, and then between 2030 and 2060. So you will live to see a lot of changes. Obviously, not everyone's going to be around, but it's like extinction for some beings that are causing the problem, and they will go because that was a part of the plan. But right now it's about coming together, working together to rebuild and have the type of world that you want to live in, and the type of, like, when we say world, it could just be your community that are living and doing certain things in a particular way, because you have communities within communities that are doing the same thing. But eventually, yeah, worldwide, a lot of things are gonna be changing, because that's the day and time we're living in.
So you think it will happen in our lifetime?
Well, it depends on what ages everyone, the people are different. Yeah, in our lifetime, but what I'm saying is that obviously not everyone's going to be, like, we're living now, but our, you know, great grandparents that were here are no longer here, but we're living through them, so we're here to witness it. But yeah, the master teacher did say that you're going to live to see all of this happening. And I tell you, many people probably didn't believe there will come a time where they're going to see crafts and extraterrestrial, but he was like, it's going to happen, you know. So yeah, but yeah, just get yourself, you know, get yourself involved, get yourself in tune, get with it, because you have to raise your vibration to live through the changes as well.
That's right, man. Thank you, man.
You're welcome every time.
All right.
Okay, let me address this. I wonder if you guys operate like a cult. I remember you saying in one of your videos that you come to get your people, culture. Do you guys take in family and children, women and children? I don't know what you mean, but we're all over the world, in all parts of the world, in different places, and culture is half of the word, the first part of the word. So people use the word cult if you are living in a different way to what they call normal or the normal. If you dress differently, you've got your own language, you eat certain foods, you have certain practices that is not considered normal to them, then they will call you names, you know. So yeah, we are a family, and everybody and everyone's welcome, and we're all over the world. Yeah, Ajayi Moses, thank you so much for your donation. Let me take that question before the caller. I remember you talk about wet dreams. Are they disagreeable extraterrestrials responsible for this, like sending telepathic messages to me in the sleep? Yeah, there's something called succubus. These, remember I mentioned that there are many disagreeable, sorry, not this, well, disagreeable and spirit beings that don't have bodies, but they can affect you. And you're referring to having nocturnal emissions, which is a real thing. So you're having an experience when you think you're sleeping, but yet you will sweat, or you know, you will have emissions that, yeah, because there are certain beings that can, yeah, arouse you and do all kinds of things to you, and then yes, you have what you would call a wet dream. And it could also just be images that you've stored in your mind from pornography, or you know, other things that will affect you as well. So there are many reasons for why you will have that, but there are also disembodied beings that also affect you during your sleep. But I've got somebody waiting on the call, so let's take that. Greetings. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What's your question, please?
Greetings, brother. How you doing? This is Leon calling you again from Texas.
Hey,
Long
Leon.
time.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm doing good.
Good. Listen, I want to ask you about. I watched your last posting regarding the exposing of the UFOs. I hope I got that title right.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to pose a question in line with that video, because it's ironic that I was just watching the master teacher, Malachi York, the other night on one of his videos while he was living over there in Georgia.
Mm.
And one of the questions was from the audience. It was talking about the pickup. And he stated to them very pointedly that there's one right out here inside Georgia on the mountaintop, and you better not run out there acting like, you want to be scooped up, because they see you by your aura.
Mm.
You know, if you are worthy of being taken.
That's
then he
right.
also mentioned about the four corners. And to a lot of people, I don't think they understand what the four corners are.
Mm.
And if you could explain to them, it's located in Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. If you could explain that, it would be greatly appreciated. And I enjoy what you do, and keep doing what you do, brother. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Yeah. So again, the master has been teaching us about the extraterrestrials, and one of the reasons we were actually in Georgia was because of that specific area. He was guided there by our ancestors, because that area actually belonged to our ancestors in terms of the land. And not only that, there was a vortex that would open there. And there's somebody called Lori Toye who was, by way of a vision, right, she put out a map called I Am America. And later on, they started to put other versions of the map. But the map was a world map showing the vision that she had in the future as to where, you know, many places are going to go underwater because of, as you can see, the climate change. That's another thing that's quite serious at the moment. So one of those vortexes was on Tamaray, Egypt of the West, known as Wahani. But if you look at that map dealing with what we're talking about with the four corners, and there were different places where these vortexes will open. And ironically, President Carter, who just passed recently at 100 years old, he was, obviously he's from Georgia, and he was one of the intercessors, or was chosen as an ambassador to deal with extraterrestrials and keeping peace on the planet. And if you read the Man from Planet Risk book that the master teacher put out explaining about what we're talking about, he said that how was he able to jump out of like helicopters at the age of 80 years old? And he made a joke saying at the age of 80, most people can't jump off the toilet, let alone from a helicopter. So yeah, so a lot of activity goes on in that area. And even like the Greys were moved around because you have a lot of underground tunnels connecting different countries. There are actually underground tunnels from England to New York, and people might think that's crazy, but it's just like the tunnels that are from Europe. You can get to France, to different parts, and many underground tunnels that extraterrestrials have been using. But that goes into quite a big subject, but we can pick that up in the Telegram group. So if you want to hear the rest of that, join the Telegram group. Tina, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Is Tina Harvey? Is it still on there?
Yeah, that's the new one.
Okay. Tina Harvey, if I'm pronouncing it properly, please, I want to say thank you for your donation. But caller, yes, go ahead, please. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's your question?
Hey, brother. It's Sakad again from Arizona. My question is, it's two questions, actually. So when you say Malachi, are you referring to Marduk?
Okay, yeah. Murdoch is another title, but Malachi is another title referring to the same being, yes.
Okay, so, and what's the difference between the melanated Egyptians that worshipped Marduk, or Amun-Ra, as his name was back in ancient Egypt times, and the melanated Israelites who left? Thank you.
Okay, right. So the being that is being referred to as Marduk is a Sumerian rendition of the same person known as Malachi in the book of Revelations. But Amun-Ra, when you're dealing with Amun-Ra, it's also another title, which when Dr. Malachi is, because you're dealing with different incarnations over different periods of time of the same being, and teaching different schools, and within those schools having different students that belong to that school. So the order of Ra, or even with Ra, you have Re or Ra as in Ra, and it became Re and Roy, different languages for the same being, which is one of the highest beings in ancient Tamaray. This is where we're saying that you have to be able to divide the Anunnaki with the Tamarayans or the Natharu, and the different cultures did cross over because some of them mixed in. So when you say Ra, or we say Re in the tones, you have like Atum, Atun, Amun, and they all belong to the school of the order of Re, because Re would be the highest, as in we say Anu in the Sumerian is the highest, in the Egyptian, even when we say Egyptian, depending on how far back you're going and which dynasty, but most people recognize Ra or Re as the highest in the Egyptian. So, and the whole Israelite thing as well, the biblical accounts of who they're calling the Israelites is separate from, because you have two dates. You have 400 years that's spoken about, and you have 430 years when you're dealing with the Israelites supposedly, leaving. And people get confused with the 400 years, which is talking about the 400 years from the 1600s when you're dealing with the slave trade up until the year 2000, which was the beginning of the sun cycle. So it's actually, we should probably do a video on just explaining, because a lot of people are caught up with the Anunnaki story. So where you're talking about Murdoch being the son of Enki, who was then the grandson of Anu, and the Sumerian doctrine will also refer to Tammuz. And on the Egyptian side, you're dealing with Har Akaktui, right? Which becomes, people say Ha, Haru, Horus. So there's a big distinction between the two sides. But Murdoch was the one that was chosen by Anu, because you had two sides, which was Enlil and Enki, and he was like, one's too agreeable, one's too disagreeable, so he's going to choose one that has both natures, and he would be responsible for coming here to like deal with all the offsprings and all the people on the planet who will have both agreeable and disagreeable nature, when we were being taught the Sumerian doctrine. But as he's progressed and taken us higher now, beyond the Anunnaki, back into ancient, what people call Egypt, but with the Egyptians you go to the dynasties, and we go pre-dynastic and go back to what people refer to as Napata or Meroe, which is dealing with the Ptah'ites, which Ptah in ancient Egypt, this is what I'm saying, like even with Egypt, you have to go pre-dynastic to these Ptah'ites or Ptah, and that's where we then link to the Panatharu, and Ptah becomes in the Muslim religion where you're saying Al-Fatiha, right, which is the opening or the first kind of like surah. But yeah, it's all tying in, but it all comes back down to this one being known as Panababyanun, who is the one that is here in this day and time to bring everyone together who's about learning and progressing by way of Wu-Sabat, which is really the here and now doctrine and the hereafter doctrine, or the basically the future. So I hope that's helped. Tina Harvey, thank you for your donation. I didn't see a question. Does the master teacher like weed, or does he look at it as a bad thing? And if it is bad, why would the creator put it on planet Ki? When you're dealing with herbs, natural herbs, they're in their natural state, and some of them are agreeable or good for you, and some of them are not. But when you say weed, a lot of people smoke weed or ingest smoke into their lungs with tobacco and with Rizzlers and things like that, which is not healthy for you. So yeah, we don't smoke anything. And the thing is that he's taken us through different schools, and now in the hereafter doctrine, if you read the 33 commandments, look at the time, 21:21. If you read which is 9:9, if you read the 33 commandments, and if you read the revelations to the Sabians, if you read the latest information, he tells you very plain and simple, because you're saying you want to be one of the 144,000 or one of the people that receives their barythry gland, and you have to be clean inside out. So you have to eradicate some of these habits. Even though you may like it, it's not necessarily good for you or the best thing for you if you're trying to become the supreme being that you really are supposed to be. Okay, we got 9 minutes left. So it was 21:21 and 9 minutes left. So that's 9:99, obviously. So if you haven't had your question answered, then you're going to have to put it in the Telegram group and we'll answer it, or wait till next week or on Saturday. I'm actually teaching class this Saturday coming. So the title of the class is What's Really Going On Planet Earth. So if you want to tune into that, be my guest, be our guest. People that are saying they're trying to get on the phone, that's because sometimes you're calling when we're actually on a call with someone else. So the line does get busy, and if you can't get through, just try again. So that's to Jesse Alexander. I have tried many times on my phone with no success. I miss being amongst you guys so much, but as soon as I get back, my laptop will set it up. Telegram. Yeah, that's good. All right, so if you can't get through, a lot of the times it's because somebody else is on the call and you have to try again, because we cut it off because it interrupts the call. I've been attacked and my children has been removed from me in the past. So I asked, do you all really help, or do us women with children have to depend on the invisible beings to protect us? Come in and find out. We do help. That's why we're here. Right, we're coming to the last few minutes, so I'm just scrolling through to see if there's any really urgent questions.
I've got an urgent one.
Okay, go on.
Are you Enki?
Am I Enki? So, oh yeah, I've seen it. Check chaser. No, I'm not. What does Enki mean? Enki means ruler of Ki, right? Or he was over Ki. You're dealing with one of the sons of Anu, right? The brother of Enlil. No, I'm not Enki. I'm Seken. Yeah, no, I'm not Enki. Okay. Okay, people are giving their own answers as to what telepathic sex with a twin flame. Okay. You see, the thing is that one of the other things as well, like people come to us and then they try to give their own version of what we're teaching. If you have a platform and you're teaching, then let people be able to come to you and ask you questions about what you teach. But yeah, Wu-Sabat. Okay, Arizona. All right, I'm trying to see what's the last question we're going to take for today. What is the origin of the universe? That one. The entire existence of life. All right, so I'm not a regular on TikTok anymore, but I did a video on TikTok that broke down the whole like universe, and I'm gonna have to find it and post it in the group. But we've broken that down, and when you say the universe, there are many universes. Unless we're talking about our universe, yeah, we've broken that down. I've already explained that. And we're coming to the last few minutes, and I have to say, Outlaw TX, thank you for your donation. What are 2 books from the master teacher, Dr. York, that speaks about genetics, eugenics, neuromelanin, also a book on extraterrestrials? Right, so we have a book called Neuroscience of Wu-Sabat or wu-nuwapu. We have Genetic Kiss. We have the Melaninite Children, dealing with the melanin. In terms of extraterrestrial, it's got an extraterrestrials and creation. Are there extraterrestrials, UFO amongst your myths? There are many, many books, and those are just a few that I can remember. If you're in the Telegram group, we can give you a list of other books. So yes, if you would like to join the Telegram group, do so, and then we can carry on answering your question. Yes, my TikTok has been posted. There is a video I already did on the universe that goes into great detail, because really our solar system with all the planets around it came from an explosion of a sun, and that sun itself came from an explosion of another sun, right? And we go into Sal and Om, and you know, so there's a lot of information and detail to explain the universe, how it came about. I'm so deep in, there's no going back at this point. Of course, Sakem will inherit the master. Nah, you're funny. Right, so let's round off, and want to thank everybody for tuning in as usual. You know, it's so funny how quick the time goes. Literally, like, these hours just go like that. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in. For those who didn't get through on the call. Try again next week. Join the Telegram group and you can get your questions answered that way. Really and truly, it's a blessing to have the master teacher with us, and there is an urgency for us to get him out, and that is by way of our love and unity coming together, because there's powers in numbers and we work, each person has something to give, and you know, many hands make light work, as they say. So if you are really serious about not just talking and asking questions, but you want to actually roll up your sleeves and get to work, then join the Telegram group and we will, you know, put you through to the administration who will help, you know, get you onboarding into Wu-Sabat, and you can do your part in helping. Before we go, the last person, I'm so sorry if I can't pronounce your name properly. C. Dubo, thank you for your donation. Are the Patar people from West Africa, and are they from the Congo, and why are West Africans genetically superior than others? We all come really from the Sans people, and at one point we were all one people when, you know, the landmass was, you know, Pangea was one, and then, you know, the central point, we came from the Egg Island and then went to what people call Ganawa, which is what's called Africa today, and then moved to different parts and locations. And so yeah, really, the Pataites would be the, or should I say the Sans people would be the ones that came from those Pataites. And yeah, when you're saying Western, it was just all one mass, and now we're all over the place and mixed, all right? Okay, it's 9:30 UK GMT time. Okay, we're going to end on that. Tuni, I can't pronounce. Ayo Tuni. Okay. Rahubat Yasar Nafir Naut. The bottom line, family, truth is truth and facts are facts. Free Dr. Free our living Pharaoh Panda Babyanun. That's a great note to end on. So until next week, we want to say Wadu.